Hello. I'm going to speak through the parable of the sower, which is in Matthew chapter 13. It also appears in both Mark and Luke, so we know it's important. And after the parable of the sower, we have an explanation of why parables are used, and then an explanation of what the parable of the sower means, followed by more parables, and then parables talking about mustard seeds and the kingdom of heaven. So Matthew chapter 13 is meaty, and it tells you in a quite specific way what Jesus is communicating to us and what the kingdom of heaven is. So I'll start by reading just the very first section, the parable of the sower. So, on the same day, Jesus went out of the house and sat by the sea. And great multitudes were gathered together to him, so that he got into a boat and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. Then he spoke many things to them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went out to sow. And as he sowed, some seed fell by the wayside, and the birds came and devoured them. Some fell on stony places where they did not have much earth, and they immediately sprang up because they had no depth of earth. But when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprang up and choked them. But others fell on good ground and yielded a crop, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. So it's talking about the Spirit of God when it comes to your doorstep. What happens to it? Does it get rooted, and is it watered? Is it given the appropriate conditions to grow? Is it around people who nourish and nurture? And are the appropriate measures taken in order to grow oneself spiritually? And he who has ears to hear, let him hear. So Jesus talks about this in another section. It's saying once faith has manifested, and it can be as small as a mustard seed, once faith has manifested, then the kingdom of God can be seen. So the parables only make sense once that has occurred. So the purpose of parables, and this is the next section. And the disciples came and said to him, Why do you speak to them in parables? He answered and said to them, Because it has been given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been given. For whoever has, to him more will be given, and he will have abundance. But whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. Therefore, I speak to them in parables, because seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not hear, nor do they understand. And in them the prophecy of Isaiah is fulfilled, which says, Hearing you will hear and shall not understand, and seeing you will see and not perceive. For the hearts of this people have grown dull, their ears are hard of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears, lest they should understand with their hearts and turn, so that I should heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For assuredly I say to you that many prophets and righteous men desired to see what you see, and did not see it, and to hear what you hear, and did not hear it. Therefore, hear the parable of the sower again. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, then the wicked one comes in and snatches away what was sown in his heart. This is he who received seed by the wayside. But he who received the seed on stony places, this is he who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet he has no root in himself, but endures only for a while. For when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, immediately he stumbles. Now, he who received seed among the thorns is he who hears the word, and the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becomes unfruitful. But he who received seed on good ground is he who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and produces, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. So, that last section was explaining the parable at the beginning. And in the middle of that, we have the disciples asking him, why do you use parables? So he's explaining that it's all codified. He talks in riddles for people who are able to see. So faith is the key to unlocking consciousness in order to be able to see, and that requires humility and to dismantle one's pride. It's kind of like the most, I mean, it's simple, but not. The concept of it, given how complicated our lives seem to be, is like abundantly easy to get your head around, but like the practice of doing it is quite the opposite. So then after this, we have the parable of the wheat and the tares. Another parable. So tares are, just to say, so wheat is like a good crop, and tares look and appear like wheat until they are fully formed. So they could be easily so tares are a weed and they look like wheat until they're fully formed. So if you try and